Faster than writing to a letter forum, more thoughtful than angry clickbait, able to discuss the world's first superhero in comics, film, TV, and more. It's the Supermaniacs. I'm Fatheree, this is Mike. Mike, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well today. I just finally finished reading the Supergirl story that I never knew I needed to read. Although everyone told me I should, so yeah.
But yeah, we discussed previously when we were talking the first half of Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow that we both had a rocky initiation trying to get into this comic the first time, and now that
Yes.
this is your first time finishing it, you have just read the second half that we're going to talk about. So these are going to be your initial genuine reactions to the stuff.
Yes, I had for a long time I had avoided the comic because there was a thing that happens in the beginning that I assumed was going to be the future of then on, especially because at this point, you know, that future state comic kind of tricked me into thinking that would be a thing. And then at one point there's a Batman comic where Alfred dies and he hasn't come back since. So my brain was like, well, maybe that's what happened. Even though I clearly saw Crypto in comics directly after that, as if it was like some fucking gotcha. But for some reason, I just never went back to it. I was just like, well, maybe one of these days. And I just never did.
When Dan DiDio was editor-in-chief at DC Comics, he gave us all PTSD, and we're traumatized and scared that our favorite characters will just be killed off for years in the comics continuity.
Yeah, like if you've heard what he wanted to do with 5G, it's hard not to be worried, kind of thing. Because a lot of people don't know this, but 5G was... He wanted to flash forward into the future. That's what all future state was. He wanted that sort of to be almost the status quo where, you know, Bruce was no longer a Batman. It was going to be a different guy. Clark was going to be like missing in the stars or something. Although according to Grant Morrison, he wanted Superman to go crazy and be a bad guy, which is why he took over Superman and the Authority. He's like, yeah, sure, whatever. And then he didn't write anything that Dan Didio said that he wanted him to do. So I'm think the stars for Grant Morrison every day for that reason, because Grant Morrison heard that shit and was like, absolutely not. And so and then they wanted to do all this crazy shit, which is one of the reasons they aged up John Kent apparently to begin with. He wanted him to be like, oh, you know, this is the perfect chance for me to get this thing started, and then he got it fucking sacked hard. And DC has been better for it since.
It's been so much better. It is crazy. I used to kind of, defend some of the less popular eras of DC Comics. I'd be like, well, some of these new 52 books are pretty good. Like some of this Rebirth stuff is fire. But then we get rid of the Dio, and it's like, oh damn, yeah, it got way way better.
It's like, oh yeah, we could have had this many not Batman titles again. I'm cool. Like, yeah, I would have fired his ass years ago if I knew that was the case.
Yeah.
God damn. Yeah, that was the joke for a long time. It's like, why don't you really like DC right now? And it was like an image of just a bunch of Batman going, well, here's their lineup. Batman, there's a Batman over there, and Batman over there. I think that's Robin, but it's also Batman.
Also, if anyone happened to be a fan of Ralph Dibny or Ted Kord or Alfred, or a lot of characters that were just killed for not a very good reason.
Luckily, most of them are alive again, mostly. It's weird what's in continuity and what's not in continuity because of it, but which I'm gonna talk about later after we're done with the with it too, because I remembered an issue of the newest Supergirl title that decided to figure out what the Supergirl timeline was, and so I can explain I'll explain a little bit about what this is during that.
Right, because this we get some origin story for Supergirl in here that I think will be lifted from the comic to the big screen in the movie later this year. In the trailer, we do see a lot of Kryptonian imagery. We do see what I assume is Argo City in the movie.
Yeah, that's the only because issue 5 issue 5 doesn't have that, but it's issue 6.
6 is the flashback one.
Yeah, six goes through her entire prior to Earth origin is what it decides to do, and It's probably the most heartbreaking version of that story I've ever read, because we've had instances of that having versions of that in the past. One of them is I think Brainiac attacking. I think is one version of it. I don't
Yeah.
remember if I don't remember if it was on Argo City or if it was part of Krypton when that happens. But she does have like trauma from that. And this book's like, well, that part never happened, but she saw what the destruction of Krypton was, and she got lucky enough to survive it, but surviving wasn't exactly the best thing. What is the line? There's a great fucking line about it. Because there's a wonderful line about what she says about it. Is, Krypton didn't die in a day.
The gods are not that kind.
Yeah, the gods aren't that kind. Like, Krypton didn't die in a day. The gods aren't that kind. And it's like,
That's in the trailer.
oh yeah, that's right. It's in the trailer, which is why it's such a wonderful fucking line. Because she talks about the fact that like 18,000 people survived originally on Argo City is what she says, and then what happens is that her mother's like the first to die, I guess, but it turns out like the sun, or not the sun, but the explosion mixed with the new sun's rays caused the planet under them, like the literal rocks under them, to turn into kryptonite. And that kryptonite poisoned her mother, and then it turns out it was going to poison everyone else. And so Zor-El's plan was like, we're just going to make a lead piece of ground. We're just going to make the entire ground lead. But by the time they're done, they lose like 15,000 people, which is like fucking crazy. Like, goddamn. Like, and by the time she's done with her story, like, and everything, because she's like, well, we did that. It worked great for like a year, and then like an asteroid rained down on her planet, or not the planet, but the what was left of Argo City, wrecked the lead shield essentially they made, and they're just like, yeah, and that was it. We were fucking done. Like, we didn't have enough to fix it, and she's like, and I was forced to leave Argo and know that everyone I loved and cared about died. And she says, I was 14, is what she ends with when she's like, I left and I was 14. And you're like, it's just chilling. Absolutely fucking chilling that she just says all that. And it's a great example of what she was saying to Ruthie in issue 4, where she's like, I was just a girl. I was like, and it's like, well, how old were you when you did that? It's like, well, I was just a girl. I'm like, that makes I'm no different. And so Supergirl's like, okay, fair, fine, that's fair. So it makes issue 5 like really fucking fascinating, though.
Yeah. Let's dive into issue 5, and we can just kind of recap the story and comment on it as we go along.
So 5, I want to bring up something about 5. Is there's I looked into it to see if there was anything about the planet that takes place on this. There's nothing. This planet didn't exist prior to this comic. So for people who want to know, but there was one instance of a green sun prior to this that I found, that I did read about actually when this issue came out, because I got curious when it came out. It's an old Silver Age issue called Superman 155, and I'll explain it once we get to like what the differences of what happens in it. So I'll just explain that just when we get to like the implications of what's going on.
But yeah, issue 5 begins with Supergirl and Ruthie. They have Clem of the Yellow Hills in their sights. They've been pursuing him after the first 4 issues. He shot Crypto, who Supergirl tells Ruthie, okay, my dog has been poisoned. I'm going to go with you to find the guy who stabbed your dad to death, because I need your help to help me find him, but we can't kill this guy. We need him for the antidote to save my dog. They go on this mission together, And now that they've finally found the dude who has teamed up with this organization, the Brigands, who are just like the worst, nastiest, most despicable, cutthroat bastards in the universe. Uh, they're some mean sons of guns. But I guess they've also taught him a few new tricks, or I guess this could be magic from his home planet. I guess.
Yeah, I assumed it was a new trick purely because of where it takes them. Because like the fact that he's he lived in a world where spaceships weren't a thing.
Yeah.
It wouldn't make any sense for him to know where to send them, type of thing. Because it's one thing for the thing that he has to like just be like, and then they were fucked off to Uranus or something. It's like, no, this is very specifically made. But I love the fact that they catch him in the middle of like, just, here I go killing again type of like they all show up there. There's fire everywhere. You never even find out the name of the planet they find him on. They just say we found him, and he's just like, oh shit, there's these motherfuckers, and then he just fucking what is it called again?
The Mordrew Globe. So it's a spell where you throw this little magic ball at someone, and I guess after it like locks onto a target, it is going to stop at nothing to pursue them. But as soon as this little magic ball hits them, it teleports them to somewhere far away in the universe. So he used this one to deposit her on the planet designed to kill Superman painfully.
It's one of the most like fuck you planets I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
It's called Barrington. That's the name of it. Again, it doesn't exist prior to this comic, where apparently it's a planet covered in monsters with a green sun. And the green sun, the way it works in this comic apparently is it works almost like kryptonite. Is it just like hits them, and it doesn't just sap their strength away. It like hurts like a motherfucker. And I love what I love what Kara Zor-El said. That's why I accidentally said that. I love what Kara said, which is that she's like, well, Clark was here once, or Cal was here once. He says it hurt so bad he thought he was going to die. And I was like, all we got to do is wait it out and we'll be fine. And she's like, well, how long did he last? He's like, 45 minutes until the Justice League saved his ass.
Yeah, that he said it was the most painful 45 minutes of his life, and that's saying something because this is the guy who got in a fight with Doomsday where they punched each other to death.
He's like, I thought I was gonna die, and he's like, and you got into a fight with Doomsday one time, which that says a lot, and it's so fucked up. I looked it up. Before this in continuity, a green sun worked a lot like a red sun, which is that there's a comic I think it's Superman number 155. I read it after this issue first came out because I was curious to see if there's any other instances of it. It's a storyline where Superman goes to a planet. All the citizens of it were blinded by like a tyrant. He's like, okay, I'm gonna go stop this guy, and then the guy changes the sun from yellow to green, and Superman just loses all his powers. He blinds him and he enslaves Superman for a while. It's funny because it's the thing we always joke about how Silver Age Superman was OP. Silver Age Superman got captured a lot. A lot.
He was OP except for when the story required him not to be.
Yes, because this isn't the only instance of him getting captured and tortured for like months on end. And then eventually, he musters up the courage to come back, or to beat the guy up because of like get some words from somebody. He saves the day. But the green sun worked the same as the red sun prior to this. This version of the sun is so fucked. Because it's like it's this I don't even know what it never tells you what it's supposed to be doing other than sapping her strength away and feeling like it's just stabbing her over and over again seems to be the implication.
And the planet is also inhabited with deadly dinosaur monsters
and one reservoir of water directly in the middle.
Yeah.
To be like, yeah, you can go get that. But that's where all the monsters would go for water themselves. So you have to be like really ready for it type of thing. And these guys can't even, like Kryptonians can't even stand. Like Kara only makes it like what? They didn't say very long, but like they only walked for a little bit, and Kara was like, I can't fucking do this shit. And then she just stayed laying for like 9 hours, for like 10 hours in excruciating pain. She either passes out from pain or is just like delirious from pain the entire time.
So the story has Kara neutralized here, where Ruthie has to kind of flip the script and be her protector instead of being the one who's being protected.
It's really cool too, because prior to this, we haven't seen Ruthie fight at any point. She's always just elegantly been like, "Hey, you, who it may concern, if you fuck with me, you will fuck with her, and she will fuck you up. So don't fuck with me. Just leave me be." And she still tries that, sort of.
Yeah, she's still like oddly formal and polite, addressing the big T-Rex thing when she's like has her sword drawn, ready to defend defenseless Supergirl.
Yeah, I'm trying to find what she says, because what she says is still very formal. She's like, I drew my sword and I waited for the monsters, and eventually this, like, it's kind of like a mid-sized monster, I guess, is like this one that shows up originally. And she goes in this very specific thing. She's like, you stay there, beast. This ain't no place for you. You should be made aware this sword is of great worth, and I put forward no exaggeration when I say it will cut unmercifully deep. Like, it's still really formal. Like, she's trying to say, don't fuck with me or I will stab you with this very nice sword.
Yeah, it almost sounds like if you're watching an anime set in feudal Japan, and then like this is how they translate it in the subtitles, is like stuff like this.
Yeah, and I like that as it goes on, there's more. This is the thing I liked about the second half. There is more actual rednecky ways of her speaking as it goes on, because she starts saying things like "ain't," where before she was a lot more formal than that.
Yeah.
And then I think by the time the last couple issues happen, she sounds closer to Hank Hill than she does in the beginning of the story, which I really appreciate a lot, because at that point it feels more like she's like, I don't give a fuck anymore. I'm just going to talk the way my dad probably talked, type of thing. And she's like, she really holds her own for what she is. She's a young 13, 14-year-old girl, probably no older than Kara was when she first became Supergirl. And she goes at this fucking thing, and she kills this one.
Yeah, she stabs it in the throat when it, I guess, tries to take a bite out of her, literally.
Like, it's really cool, and it's clear that it takes a lot out of her, because she says she passes out at some point. Meanwhile, while Kara is constantly just either yelling in pain or just like passing out again.
Oh, and the art is so good on Kara. Like she looks so out of it. Like,
yeah, there's that great scene, because eventually there's a moment where she wakes up because these giant pterodactyls show up and start eating the body of the dinosaur that she killed. That was another thing I appreciated, is that it wasn't one of those like survival moments where she's like, I killed it and then I made food out of it. She's like, no, this shit was hard. I don't fucking want to do this anymore. And so these things eat it, and she wakes up to save them, and she looks, the best way I can put it is if you had a fever that has been going on for like a week straight. Type of thing. Like, her eyes are fucked up. I love that she starts saying it's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman thing while she's delirious. She's like, yeah, it's a fucking bird.
That's her reaction to the pterodactyl. Hey, it's a fucking bird, it's a plane, it's Supergirl.
She just
passes back out.
It's wonderful. It's so fucking great. But it also shows that like whatever this version of the Green Sun is, it seems to be more like a kryptonite, because her powers don't disappear.
Yeah.
Because they're there for hours.
No, it seems more like kryptonite poisoning.
Yeah, because the other comic treated it the way Red Sun is. And this comic showed that when you're in a Red Sun for long enough, your powers are just gone. Her powers are clearly still there. She just can't use anything, which I really appreciated. I was looking up some of Supergirl's outfits prior to this, because I was curious when this is supposed to take place. This is supposed to take place basically directly after the Rogel Czar thing.
Right after the Bendis,
the conspiracy one. So this is supposed to be, apparently this is like a fusion of her outfit from that story and the normal outfit. It was called a solar suit version of her suit, which is why she has the gold on her boots. It's supposed to be an outfit that helps her store solar energy better. So I wonder if that's something that they thought about still.
Yeah, you could
Or
explain that's why she holds on to her powers so long, but in front of a green sun, I guess.
yeah, I think that's the implication of maybe her still having that outfit, or maybe at least the technology that outfit provided her. Um, and then yeah, it's she's like, yeah, she's fucked up. Like she is. I'm sure you have been this sick the same way I had, like at some point where you're just like, I just want to die type of things. You're just like, I could probably endure this, but I'd rather not because this fucking shit hurts.
Yeah, yeah, the first time I had COVID, I was like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, I had when I first started dating my girlfriend, like literally the week before I was supposed to go on a date with her, I caught the one of the worst flus I've ever had in my life. I had a like 100 billion degree fever. I couldn't fucking move. My body was in massive pain, and at one point I was in a fetal position, the same way she is her here when she's like holding on to Ruthie, and she's just like, "Oh dear fucking god," and she starts begging for water. Like it shows how fucked up she is. She's just like, even though she specifically told Ruthie, we can't go get this water. If we go get this water, we're gonna get swarmed by these fucking monsters because it's like the way like in Africa, there's always like a giant watering hole in Africa. I think if I remember correctly, and a lot of animals go to it and then they drink from it, and so it's always a gamble for non-predatory animals to go there because that's where everyone fucking
Right.
goes. And so that's kind of the implication of what's going on. They're like, if we go there, sure there'll be water, but there's going to be like a crocodile or some shit in the water that's going to eat us in 10 seconds. And she's just Ruthie's trying to explain to delirious Supergirl. She's like, "You told me water was bad."
Yeah, but then dehydration is a hell of a drug. then then Kara's like, oh, actually, on second thought, let's get some of that water.
Yeah, on second thought, I would rather, water sounds pretty good right now. She's like, "Stop it." And I love that she threatens to kill Supergirl. Because Supergirl's like, if I die, I do things and stuff. She's like, look, if you go out there, I'm dying anyways, but at least this way I have a chance. And it's kind of really poignant what she says, because she says, what is it? She says, I know it because she says that if she kills her, things will go wrong. She's like, but as moving as me and hiking onto that dangerous water will cost you your life, I see no reason why it should not also cost me mine. So she's trying to she's basically telling her if you go there, you'll have to go through me. If you go through me, you'll probably die either way, but at least this way, I would not have to worry about it. Is almost what she does. She has this wonderful, again, it seems to be like this journal thing, although eventually we find out what it is that she's writing about what's going on. And she keeps talking about how she's like, I came out here for murder and death with no mercy, but here I am risking it all to keep this woman alive, even though my entire life's purpose right now is still murder. But I feel weird about this sort of thing. And eventually she gets her to calm down, and the sun's almost down. But just before it comes down, they see one of the gnarliest things I've seen in a while, comic book wise. It's like a T-Rex from fucking Primal Rage, almost.
Yeah,
Type of thing.
it's like a Godzilla kind of with the spikes on the back, and
yeah, it's really cool.
a cool looking critter. If it's in a comic you're reading and not staring you down on this cursed planet.
Yeah, whereas the other one was like a medium-sized monster. This is the size of the T-Rex from Jurassic Park at this point. This is not a the other one I guess you could say it was maybe an elephant size, maybe if you're lucky, like a young elephant. But this thing is fucking gigantic, and it's very horrifying because you realize she's there's not really anything she can do against this thing. She's just a girl with a sword, and especially when it has this panel of it running at her and the shadow of her, and she's the size of its at best its foot.
Yeah,
Probably she is not even a quarter of the size of this thing, and she gets her ass beat. But and she's worried, she's praying. She's essentially praying to the gods for this sun to go away. And she basically mentions where she's like, I used to think it was kind of dumb when people were like, you know, praying and stuff like that, but I get it now. That's basically what she says at some point. And Supergirl, luckily, it seems that the second the sun goes down, she doesn't feel any pain from it. I forgot to mention one of my favorite things about this planet is there's a point where she says people really fucking hate Cal.
Yeah.
Like I hate, like it's so frustrating that they hate him so much.
And that people would also take it out on her. Like, this comes up again and again, but there's people who, like, they have, like, these plots against Superman. And a lot of times they end up being used on her. Like, any kryptonite weapon ever made is also a potential threat to her.
Yeah, and she's just like, I didn't do nothing. And these fucking assholes are being dicks about it. And I love that she says 45 fucking minutes is what she says when she finally gets up. And she basically calls Clark a little bitch.
Yeah.
That's literally what she says.
Yeah, they bleep it out with the squigglies, but yeah, that's what a little bitch. Yeah, I'm wondering what of her profanity, if any of these lines make it into the movie, because she also drops a lot of f-bombs, but like the comic can just do the special characters for that. So I think the movie will at least we'll get like the one PG-13 f-bomb. Like
I know she'll say bitch because she called them a bitch in the end of the movie.
Oh yeah, she calls him a bitch in the Superman movie. So
I guarantee if this scene happens, she will call him a little bitch.
Yeah.
And so I like the fact that like once they're done, I also love that fact that it shows that Ruthie just has a spacesuit now. That at some point during the travels they just bought her a spacesuit.
Yeah, there's a bit of a time gap between issues 4 and 5, but well, issue 4 ended with Supergirl taking flight with Ruthie on her back for the first time they traveled like that. So it just makes sense that their first stop would be, okay, let's get you a spacesuit so you don't die mid journey.
Yeah, and so the two of them are just like, well, fuck this place, and then they leave, and it's a great growth issue for Ruthie more than anything else. It's very much like this is Ruthie proving to herself she can survive against things even without Kara for the most part, which was very nice because I was very worried as I was reading the book that she wouldn't do anything. And I forgot this issue had happened entirely, so it was nice to see that happen and them to be like, okay, this is Ruthie like really being like fucking gung-ho about her journey in a way that was really refreshing.
Well, thanks for doing the homework and looking up the history of Green Sun and Superman comics. 'Cause that didn't even occur to me that might have been something that had happened before. But
yeah, because I was curious, because Tom King sometimes will grab something that exists in continuity that people just forget exists. Yeah. Or he'll come up with some shit that you're like, what the fuck are you talking about type of thing. And this is a good example of like, what are you doing? But at the same time, I like the idea immensely that somebody literally designed a planet to kill one man. Because it says a lot about Superman's reputation outside of Earth, is that people are afraid of supers. Like, and I don't mean like superheroes, I mean like the super family. The very idea that anything that they do can come to a screeching halt because like a handful of people in the galaxy find out about it. Because it's not like Kryptonians are everywhere. By this point, the Warworld saga hadn't even happened yet. So at this point, there's still only like 2 full-blooded Kryptonians, his son, and I think Superboy hadn't even come back yet at this point, if I recall. I would have to check on that. So it's like crazy. It shows how much like they're feared as much as they're loved, and I really like that a lot. It says a lot about them, and I really appreciate that about the story.
Well, let's move into issue 6, which might be my favorite issue out of this entire miniseries. We get the Kara backstory, origin story stuff, but also some really cool Comet the Super Horse stuff. Which you were saying, like, this was the Supergirl series you never knew you needed to read. Like, man, this was the Comet the frickin' Super Horse comic that I never knew I wanted. But
I love that like Comet hasn't really been in anything in a long ass time. And then Tom King's like, "Hey, you remember Comet the Super Horse?"
Yeah, great example of what you were talking about when he likes to deep cut.
Yeah, because he just sort of shows up. Like there's no moment where Comet is like where they just run into him again. She's just like, "Hey, gentlemen," they're like, "Ladies and gentlemen, it's Comet the Super Horse." Is basically what happens in the issue, and they show how fucking great he is because he's like, the implication is that he is faster than Kara is, which is the reason she ends up riding him.
Yeah, he's fast as like he's like faster than like Wally West and the Black Racer and like every other speedster combined. It seems like.
Yeah, it's shocking how fast he is because she's clearly not gone for very long based on what happened. Because they run into Krem again, of course. Krem's like in the middle of like trying to slaughter some people.
Yeah, more pillaging and slaughtering.
I love that way Krem slaughters, by the way, because he's just like, "Hey, real quick, either you give us money and you murder us, or I murder you all." And they're like, "What?" He's like, "Well, that's your answer. What? So I guess we got to get to killing." Like he doesn't really give them a chance to even like understand what he's telling them. He's just like, "What? You said what? So that means I get to kill you now." Like I was like, "Krem, you're such a dick," but you kind of got me with your dickishness in this one. And so he she shows up. He tries the same bullshit again with this orb. Oh, we forgot to mention how the orb's made prior to that, which is the only way you can make the orb is you have to like murder a shit ton of people.
Yeah, so
to, like,
he's
make this thing.
He's racking up a higher body count than usual to be able to keep doing these. And there's also like a limit on how often you can do it. Like,
yeah, she mentions you can only have one at a time, meaning
right?
that he's made a second one, and she said that you have to kill a bunch to make even one of them. So he's had at least two of these things on him, and you can't just make them on a whim. So
it's not a bad tactic though, from his perspective. Just I'll just like keep one of these on hand at all times, and then whenever Supergirl shows up, I can just send her to the torture planet. And then it's kind of like It Follows, the movie It Follows. It's like she's always going to be coming back to me, but I just have to have an orb on hand.
Yeah, it's funny because it reminds me of that old $1 million thing from that's kind of started the It Follows idea. Was it was an old Rooster Teeth, like what would you do for $1 million? I think was the name of it. It's been a long time, but it's the snail thing. It's like if you got $1 million, but a snail would constantly be after you, and if it touches you, you die. It's like that's what's happening to Krem. He's like, I got everything I've ever wanted. I'm getting all the money and all the murder, but this fucking snail keeps coming for me. And so he figured out his way of getting rid of his snail. But the snail has gotten smarter, and he's fucking terrified of it now. And
he
I
shot
love
her
this
dog,
fucking
so
horror movie ass thing that she does, where she's just pulling people from like the wall. Like it's really cool.
Yeah, RoboCop did that. That was in the first RoboCop movie, right? And then the first Iron Man movie, they have like the arm come through the wall and grab a bad guy.
Yeah, so she starts doing that to a bunch of guys, and he's just like, "Oh shit, oh fuck." And she's, I love what she says here. She's like, "Hi, I'm Supergirl, and you're Krem of the Yellow Hills, and you shot my fucking dog." And he's just fucking, he's like, "What the fuck?" And then this is the issue where we mentioned all the stuff that happened to her, because according to the story, she's not sure what will happen, because she's like, I'm not sure if this is going to work, so I'm just going to tell you my past. Apparently, she told Ruthie, and because Ruthie's like, I was worried why she told me, but then I realized because she was worried she wouldn't survive this. And I thought that was a really sweet but very bittersweet thing of her finally opening up to Ruthie, but only in the implication that she's worried she's not going to survive. And everything she talks about is very heartbreaking, because we said the story part of it, but the implication of everything is really what is sold in this, which is the fact that she is constantly thinking about, she's dreaming of Krypton constantly. Is that the life she had, the death of everyone, and even her father sending her away. It's probably all she ever thinks about, and that she's never seen anything quite like Krypton since. They mentioned that they lived in an apartment, like the the idea of like her father trying to cook but fucking up because he's a scientist, he's not a cook, and everything's really sweet, and it's like it's just like really sad, the whole thing, just how much he's dealt with in her life. I don't remember if it's in this issue or not, of her saying that she's like she still chooses to be like she has the weight of the world on her shoulders, and that she's still kind of good even after everything, like that she's still driving forward. Like most people with that would constantly be searching, would be like, they would be devastated in life, but she's still constantly going, and she thinks that's really interesting. She thinks that's amazing. I love this. Yeah, the last thing she hears, yeah, she's like, like many whose childhoods were ripped away from them. She's eternally searching for something, perhaps justice, perhaps explanation, perhaps a tree outside her window, red and blue leaves, and the wind that blows between them, which is just that she's just trying to find her place in the universe is kind of what the implication is. Because unlike Cal, she remembers Krypton. She remembers the things she had to go through to get her life. And so she didn't just have a rocket. I think she mentions that at some point. She didn't just have a rocket that sent her out right away.
Yeah.
And even the rocket that's sent out was built on the deaths of thousands.
Yeah, it was definitely a more traumatic experience. And I also want to add that the art is amazing in this issue. The colors from Matthias Lopez are amazing. And then the woman who drew everything, Bilquez Evely, or however you say her name. Sorry, I think they're both Brazilian based on their names, but it's like the best that the whole miniseries ever looks. I think the comet stuff.
The comet colors are so fucking incredible because it shows how otherworldly the speed is,
and so cinematic. Like I want this moment in the movie. I think would be so fucking cool.
Yeah, this moment that's drawn as if he's a literal comet is fucking like one of my favorite things I've ever seen. Like this that little sequence right after she sees like a comet outside of the Argo City shield. It then cuts to like her on the Comet looking like a comet, and it's fucking glorious.
And that's what I mean about like Tom King. He's a writer that we've both talked about having a lot of reservations with him, but he really does get the comic book medium. Like if it doesn't matter what artist he works with, like his panel layouts are always real powerful and and seem very well designed.
Yeah, he seems to have a great relationship with whoever he's working on a book with, and this is, in my opinion, I think this is one of my favorites because the art is never, because one of the issues I have with the art of some of the other stuff that he's really well known for is some of it's too artistic, if that makes sense. Like it becomes hard to look at because you don't really know what's going on.
Yeah,
in any given panel,
and also like he as an artist can get like a little, I don't know, pretentious and artsy.
Yes.
It's like all the pros and cons of like a A24 movie, or like they're in like a Tom King comic.
Exactly, and so the two of his most popular ones are like that, in my opinion, which is Mr. Miracle and Strange Adventures, which is the Adam Strange one. Those two I remember reading, and I'm just like, I don't know what's going on half the fucking time, because there's a lot of words here and a lot of just fucking really cool artistic shit that I don't know what I'm supposed to be interpreting right now. And I don't blame either one of them. I feel like they feel like the idea is everything is supposed to be ambiguous, which is the reason it happens. Whereas this one is like directly in the middle, or not directly in the middle. Yeah, this one's like perfect in every way, in my opinion. This is just enough gorgeous imagery that gets very abstract, but you never don't know what's going on in it. Whereas and where the writing is also the same. It has abstract moments, but you never don't know what's going on in it. And I appreciate that immensely. I think this is, I don't say masterpiece often, but I think this comic and this issue in particular is like a masterpiece. Like this story, this comic, the way things are laid out, the way it the imagery plays off of each other, whether it's like her on Krypton or her on Argo, her doing this battle, And I love the way it ends. With this issue, the way it ends with her just being like, "Well, he doesn't have any more of these fucking things, and all he's got now is some swords and arrows."
Yeah. Yeah, she's basically able to defeat the Mordru globe by riding Comet the Super Horse to the edge of the universe, beyond the bounds of normal reality, where the rules of magic no longer apply.
It's wonderful. And she pops that fucking thing like it's a normal bubble, and then just fucking defeats this dude in like 8 seconds.
I guess
That's wonderful.
it is a bit of a Deus Ex Machina that Comet the Super Horse could show up and for this story be fast enough to outrun this orb and literally like run beyond the edge of creation outside of the universe. But when it looks this beautiful, you know what? Like I'll fucking accept it.
Yeah, you just sort of it's a very Silver Age issue where you're just like, yeah, I guess that happened.
Yeah.
You just accept that it happened, and you're just like, fuck it. Magic horse appeared, and there's no explanation for where he came from at this point. Like, there's not an issue where she's like, Ruthie, I know a guy, and just goes to Comet the Super Horse or something. There's just a time skip. She finds Krem, and she's like, my horse is waiting, and just jumps on her horse. Like, if nobody knew who Comet the Super Horse was, and they read this comic, they wouldn't know what the fuck was going on. Especially with what happens in issue 8. But we'll get to that.
Yeah, but before we get to that, just assuming that they do like a scene like this in the movie of Comet like showing off his badass speed, that would be such a cool, powerful way to introduce that character to a big mainstream audience who have never heard of Comet the Super Horse previously. So
Yeah.
I would like the ending of the movie to be a little different than the ending of the comic, just to keep Comet around in the pop culture.
Yeah, that, and I kind of want them to I want them to explain the weirdness of Comet the Super Horse to people. I love the fact that this comic alludes to the existence of the other super pets, because there's I don't know if it's in this issue when she's fighting, I think. Yeah, here it is. When she's fighting them, it says it's nothing but easy to assume that in any battle with a super whatever, be it a man, Superman, a girl, Supergirl, boy, Superboy, of course, horse, Comet the Super Horse, cat, that's Streaky the Super Cat.
Mm-hmm.
Crypto, of course, is the dog one, and the one that everyone always forgets usually, which is the monkey,
Bippo.
Bippo, the super ape, I guess technically, because he's like a chimp, super chimp. So I appreciate that Tom King remembered these guys existed. But issue 7 is really interesting. What I love about issue 7 is that it starts with Ruthie explaining, I wasn't there for this part, which is Supergirl's actual battle with the brigands. Because it turns out if you capture a brigand, the brigands working. This is surprisingly loyal for a bunch of psychopaths. That if you capture one of them, they go to the ends of the earth or the ends of the universe to chase after you and murder you and everything. So when they captured Krem, they've essentially made themselves enemies for life with these dudes. And they ran away for a while, and Ruthie's like, okay, we decided to no longer run. Supergirl decided to confront them. But I wasn't there because this is a battle in space, and I'm just some fucking 13-year-old with a sword. She's like, I'm brave, but I'm not fucking stupid, is literally something she says, basically. So everything that happens, essentially, this is something I liked about it, because I mentioned this the first time, is that Ruthie is an unreliable narrator. And the second half really shows it more than even the first half did. Because the first half is very much like, it feels more like a journal, where the second half, it turns out the second half is something that she's writing for people, which is her being like, I had to talk to some people, and it's clear that the first half feels more like the beginning of a journal. The second half is like, I peer-reviewed some stuff and I found out what happened, is basically what she says. Meaning that she's writing this way after the fact, which I really appreciate it finally revealing in this issue.
You know, I wonder if they do some type of framing device like that with the movie, where there's like, you have like Ruthie narration, like the voice explaining exposition and stuff like that.
Yeah, I wonder if it's going to have the same sort of like unreliable narrator thing, or if it's just going to be a straightforward story, if that makes sense. Like if she actually just tells
Yeah.
the truth the whole time this time,
Yeah,
or
I mean
like,
that would probably be easier to convey in a movie to do it that way. So, but yeah, I guess we'll
but
see.
but yeah, while Kara's having this badass space battle that Ruthie's not there for,
With like a ship
um,
from Treasure Planet, like it looks like a pirate ship in space.
it's really cool. It's a
Yeah.
really cool design.
No, I dig it. I love it.
As fucked up as these guys are, I love that they are in a literal pirate ship. Like Tom King is like, look, I know these are genocidal madmen, but I want some fucking Pirates of the Caribbean and space shit, and I appreciate that immensely. But while this is happening, she's hanging out with Comet the Super Horse, who's protecting her and keeping. I think the implication is that he's there specifically to keep Ruthie from murdering the absolute shit.
Yeah. Yeah, they have Krim. They have him tied up on a palm tree on the beach. The horse standing guard to make sure the kid doesn't kill him, and Kara up in space above the planet fighting his pirate comrades.
What I love about this planet, by the way, because this is a great thing that's never really brought up, is that this planet seems to have like ocean life above the ocean.
Yeah, this the sea life like swims around in the air basically.
Yeah, there's some jellyfish. Like when she shows her like getting these apple looking things off of what looks to be kind of like a tree, but around that tree is like a bunch of coral and fishes and jellyfish, and I assume what kind of looks almost like manta rays, like swimming in the air around her.
Yeah, like it looks like they're about to bump into Aquaman and Mira in Atlantis.
And what's great is there's a moment where you see that it's clear that they actually like they go in the water at some point, because when as the comet lands, you see a bunch of the fish kind of like flying out of the water, meaning that I guess it's they live in both. I think that's really fun, and there's a lot of things that look like stuff that we know. Like there's some crabs, there's some what looks like, as I mentioned before, the manta rays, the fish. They're like alien looking type things, but they're clearly like something that. And she mentions it's the smell of the sea, so it's very much like this is basically a beach, and I think that's really interesting. And she has this really interesting monologue to crypto or not crypto to Comet about how she used to have a horse, basically kind of like a horse. It's probably like that steed that showed up in the first issue, that really gnarly like goat bison thing that she had, and how she was like real nice to him originally, and then her dad was like, "Look, you're fucking spoiling that goddamn thing," and so she stopped doing all that stuff, and it kept looking at her like she that she might as well have been torturing it, even though all she did was stop giving it like a bunch of things. And she's just like, well, I have to do this because, it's not my fault that I have to do this or whatever. And she just says, the thing just didn't trust me and I couldn't stand for that, is what. And I love that line because of something that happens, or that entire monologue because of something that happens in the afterwards. But it keeps cutting in between, it keeps coming back and forth between Supergirl's battle with this ship.
Yeah, she's doing all this like fighting on a pirate ship in space, and it cuts back and forth between that and the conversation on the beach.
Yeah, and she's just explaining the comment. She's like, "Look, I get that you're here to protect me. I'd rather you not, but I would rather like maybe we could maybe I could like talk to Krem. Maybe because Supergirl's not here, I could get some information about the poison from Crypto." She's clearly just being like, let me just torture him for a little bit.
Yeah, it's funny to see the horse protesting whenever like she gets too close to Krim, and then like the horse will neigh. She has this one line, "Oh, go swallow your oats. I wasn't going to do nothing."
It's really funny. Yeah, she slowly walks towards him after she pulls the sword out, and he flies in front of her, and he's like, fine, and puts the sword back. And I love that happening. That's like it's a normal thing happening while all this is going on. And then Supergirl is like, I like the other thing it mentions here, which is like Supergirl's strong. She's like, she's a Kryptonian. She's very strong, but she may be faster than locomotive. She may be able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. This is a big galaxy, and there are people with stronger locomotives and taller buildings and stuff like that, which is a great way of explaining. Look, just because she's stronger than all those things that are on Earth doesn't mean that by default Superman and Supergirl are stronger than any of those things in space.
Yeah, it's like you always say, like if you think that their power scale is too ridiculous, if they're too OP'd for Earth, just put them in space where there's a lot of powerful shit.
Yeah, that's the thing I always have to explain to people because people are like, Superman's too strong. He's always able to tank anything. I'm like, Superman gets his ass beat all the time because the second he leaves Earth, he's a big fish from a small pond and he keeps running in the bigger fishes that are out there. What makes Superman interesting is the fact that he'll see a bigger fish and still fuck with it, type of thing, if he feels like he needs to. Whereas, like, and this is what's great about it because it's like, yeah, just because he's the biggest fish of this pond doesn't mean that there aren't sharks out there, type of thing. And I think that's really kind of fun the way they show that like she gets shot out of the sky by this ship, and it looks like she gets hit like hard, like she gets launched into the atmosphere of the planet they're on. And there's something I didn't notice originally reading this is that every now and then you see like what looks almost like fire in the sky. It's very subtle at first. There's like one or two panels where it looks almost like there's like a little bit of fiery flare at
Yeah,
one
or
point.
like explosions in the sky
Yeah,
above the beach that Chrome and Ruthie are on.
it isn't until I think the last shot of this issue where you see just this large fucking explosion.
Yeah, and again, the panel layout is really cool. How it shows the, or I think that's actually in issue 8. But there's,
Oh
uh,
yeah, what
yeah,
I'm
it's like
thinking is in issue 8, yeah.
the panel of the explosion on the ship, and then right under that it has like the panel of the sky above the beach.
Yeah,
And
and it's super subtle because the comic doesn't frame it as if you have to see that part of it. In fact, I almost missed it when I was reading it this first time. I had to go back because I decided to read issue 8 a couple times so I could really understand what was going on, and it was really cool. I was like, this is really fucking fun that you guys went out of your way to do this. Oh, here's the swallow your oats thing.
Yeah, eventually the pirates, the brigands, they do start to get the best of Supergirl, and they have her subdued with a kryptonite gun pointed at her head, and just with no other resources left, she has to call out for Comet.
Well, that's the thing is she doesn't actually call out for Comet originally. She's
Oh
because
no, she says
she
don't
gets
come.
yeah, because it sounds like she at first you think she's begging for her life because she's like, no, don't.
Right,
And they're
right.
like, oh my god, she's begging for her life. That's awesome. And then they're just like, no, Comet, you stay the fuck there. I've got this shit type of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, they think that she's talking to them, and when she's just like, I'm serious, I'm so serious, please don't do this. And it's like, yeah, like horse, don't come
It's like,
put
don't fuck
yourself
this
in
up for me,
danger.
is
Yeah.
basically what she's saying. And then while that's going on, we finally find the truth of Ruthie's father's death. It was just, it turns out that the guy was in fact a King's agent, and his entire job was to go around finding people, and finding out if they were disloyal to the king. And the way he would do that is he would say a fucked up joke about the king. It's like what he says is really fucking ridiculous. He's like, yeah, what the joke is that I say that the king sired a child with his sister. Is what he says. Like that's the joke he does. It's an incest joke that he likes doing. And anytime anybody laughed, he would kill them because that was his job. But her dad didn't. Her dad didn't not only didn't laugh, but he like took offense to it and stood up, and like he actually was like the epitome of the things that he should have been like, hey, great, thank you, like, and then left. But instead, he's like, this motherfucker thinks he's better than me.
Yeah, he was like scolding him for like how dare you come to my farm and say such vulgar things in front of my home and family.
And so he just kills him for like no. He basically kills him for no reason. But I love what he says about it, which is like, I came to your homestead to find the loyal and the wicked, and I do believe I succeeded, because what he's actually saying is that he found the loyal and the wicked because her dad was the loyal and he was the wicked in this case. So he found his inner douchebag is basically what he's saying. He's like, your dad taught me that I'm an asshole.
Yeah.
And I've succeeded in finding it, and I'm
He
happy for it.
he's like accepted that he's an asshole, and he doesn't have any regrets or I guess concerns about the consequences of his assholiness on the rest of the universe. But the way that he describes the actual moment of the murder, when he says, "I was lost in the vision, and when I found my sword out my when I found my way out, my sword was in his gut." He doesn't even like remember making the decision to stab the guy. He just remembers seeing the results of it. But that's how like a lot of people realistically like describe violent crimes they've committed. They'll say something like, "Yeah, like something just took over me and it happened." It's like they don't really like remember, or at least like the way that they describe it when they recap it, like the actual like decision
Yeah.
to do that violence.
They make it like an animalistic reaction, and so their brain shuts off, and then they their body just like reacts to their emotion. And I find it fascinating that that's what he tells her. He's like, I didn't even realize I was killing your dad until I had already done it. Like, it's just, but I realized right then and there that I'm an asshole. It might not be politically correct to say I'm an asshole, but I love being an asshole. And, at least he's not a hypocrite about it, type of thing.
It kind of rang true to me, just kind of like that realism, that like that Tom King realism. Like here, this was written by someone who is in the CIA and has at least had conversations with people who have committed these acts of violence like this.
Yeah, he says this. He has this line that feels like something that he's probably heard in real life, which is like, "I bet you expect me to beg, just be like, oh, don't hurt me, I'll be better," or whatever. He's like, "No, I know who I am. I know what I've done. And I don't fucking care. I don't regret it. I'm not going to reform, and I don't have patience for it. So just fuck it. If you kill me, then they'll kill you." Is what he keeps telling him. Is like, because he's so sure that Supergirl's going to lose to the brigands that he's like, I'm just going to get out of here anyways. So either they kill her, or you kill me, and then they find they know where I'm from, and they know where you're from, technically. So they're just going to go to our planet and kill everyone, including her family. I win either way, is what he says. So if Supergirl wins, she's too goody two shoes. I'm going to be fine. Is basically his thought process. The problem is he doesn't know Supergirl very well, but he's thinking of Superman. But it's really heartbreaking because she's hearing all this and she's like, what the fuck? Like, she basically finds out her dad died for nothing, and it's very fucked up. And then eventually she convinces Comet to go help, because he clearly wants to help, and she's just feeding into his need.
Yeah, she promises that she won't kill the guy if the horse leaves. And then, like, as soon as the horse leaves, she's like, okay, now I can kill this guy. And we go into issue 8 with her ready to do it. So it seems.
Before we get into issue 8, I think it's in here. This is my favorite part. I said enough to convince him, and he backed away, and he took to this guy, leaving me with Krem. I'm gonna shorten some of it. The dastardly king who killed my father. I travel the stars searching for this dullard, and there's nothing left between us and the world. Nothing else between us besides the word I'd given to a horse. Now you ever lied to a horse before? If you ain't had the experience, I do have some obligation to warn you. It can get you something awful, but you get over it soon enough. Because the implication is that she's basically saying, this is the second time I've lied to the horse. Because the first time is the story she tells Comet, the super horse. And she's like, I feel bad about it. But eventually you get over it. And it's wonderful, because she's just like, fuck that horse.
But also just kind of reminds us that she has a very, despite being from another planet, she has a very grounded, normal person commenting on the surreal circumstances that she's in.
Yeah, she's in a very surreal world. She's on this mission, and the only thing standing between her and the mission she started was a horse. And she's like, I know Supergirl needs help, and this is a win-win for me. You go get to save Supergirl, and I get to finish my goddamn thing that I started. Like, I've been at this for like a while. I need to finish this shit. Is what's wonderful about that scene, because it shows that Ruthie I like it because it shows that Ruthie still never gave up on her original mission, even though she's been with Supergirl this whole time. Although as we know, we're talking about it in issue 8 about exactly what's happening.
Yeah, I'm just looking through issues 7 and 8 now, and like I know I was really praising the art in issue 6, but 7 and 8 also look incredible. Like, yeah, this like I mean, the first half looks great too, but like all four of these issues are beautiful.
It's
Uh,
wonderful.
the comet in space battle, the kryptonite bullet, the uh, I don't know. It's a tragic and weird moment that I am convinced that if they do Comet in the movie, I do not think they will do this. But
I was shocked when I read this because it was the thing that I realized that Tom King. Because you remember, as we mentioned, we were worried Crypto was going to die.
mm-hmm.
It feels like Tom King wanted him to, and then somebody's like, "No, you can't do that." And then he went, "Well, I want to have my cake and eat it too. So is anybody using Comet the Super Horse for anything?"
You won't let me kill the super dog? Fine, I'll kill the super horse.
I'll kill the weird implication horse, and so.
Weird implication horse, but yeah,
But I love the the arts of that bullet being fired out because it's still just the rock that's being shot out of a gun.
yeah, and it's like keeping in like the pirate theme. It's like this old like buccaneer little pistol, like a flintlock pistol looking gun.
Yeah, it's got like a gigantic fucking barrel for a space gun, basically, but it still fires, like you said, like a flintlock. And I like the way when he fires it, he gets launched backwards by Comet's landing to save her.
Yeah, the horse races in to take the hit, to take the bullet literally for Supergirl, and as Comet turns and looks at Kara, he morphs from a horse back to a man. As comic readers of old could tell you that, oh yeah, Comet the Super Horse was a man turned into a horse.
Yes, for people. This is the reason why I'm like, if people have never read Supergirl, they're gonna be like, "What the fuck just happened?" I didn't think I thought he didn't die for a second. I'm like, did he just like transform back into a man, or what's going on here? And then I realized, like, no, he goes. That's the reason he transforms back, is he fucking dies. But for people who don't know, I don't know the full thing per se. I just know that he was magically turned into a horse who happened to have very similar Superman powers. And he was a psychic horse, which is the reason why she's like, don't. She keeps saying, no, don't, because she's having a psychic conversation with Comet the Super Horse. So for people who are like, why does she know what Comet the Super Horse is saying? He's a psychic horse. I don't know what else to tell you. And he was not only a psychic horse, he was a psychic horse who was in love with her, as where she mentions for like a hot second when she comes back down, because she's like, who the fuck is that? She's like, well, Comet was a man. We didn't want anybody to know because, he loved, what? I don't have time for this. This is basically what she tells. That's what she tells Ruthie after she defeats the Brigands. And she goes like all in. She like, I love the scenes of like Supergirl. Just, she gets so pissed off. It's like an anime almost. She gets so pissed, just rips the fucking chains off of her, like super hardcore badassly. And everybody's face is like, we are so fucked, is what I love about the Brigands' faces. And yeah, they're fucked. Because while that's going on, Ruthie is now challenged Krem to a fight to the death. What I appreciate about it is Krem trying to be like, well, honor and all that shit. And she's like, you don't give a fuck about honor, but you know what? You're right. I'm just gonna put the sword that you killed my father with right here in the middle, and then whoever gets to it first, gets to use it essentially. That sort of thing, and then we fight. And then she basically goes full Sherlock Holmes on his ass and just keeps discombobulating him by kicking him in the face over and over again.
Yeah. And I guess he thought that if he could talk her to this point, he would have an easy time handling this, dumb little kid. But
yeah, he's like, I'm a grown ass man. You're like a teenager. Like I can do this. I look like fucking Ron Swanson. I got this type of thing.
But she puts up a pretty good fight, and I guess eventually does get the best of him.
Yeah, because her time with Supergirl has taught her how to like be a badass. Essentially, is what she ends up saying. She's like, I've been on these travels. I've seen Supergirl punch so many people in the face that they just went down, and she's like, that taught me everything I needed to know right then and there. Aim for the face. because that fucks them up right away, and they just go down, and
Yeah.
it causes him to get so disoriented, he basically passes out almost, because he's like, stop fucking hitting me in the face, kind of thing. She bites his arm so hard he drops the sword. And then I love this moment where she goes in this speech apparently she's been practicing for months, and basically cuts off his entire right hand almost. She just cuts off, I don't know how she did it. She cut off every single one of the fingers on his right hand, including his thumb. And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, that's a sharp sword.
Oh, a very sharp sword. And that swing, even when you look at the art for that swing, you're like, that doesn't make any sense. Because that's one swing and she somehow got his thumb. Because the four fingers make sense, not so much the thumb.
It's one swing, but it looks like it would have had to have been 2 swipes to do that. But yeah, comic book logic.
Yeah, it looks like it would have been like bop bop at super speed almost, because there's like, it looks like she cut them all off at once. And he's done. They like, after that he's like, I was expecting him to keep fighting because, you know, sometimes it's like a rage thing. No, he goes down like immediately. He's like, fuck. And he just keeps muttering that her father was just some fucking dude. Like, and it's like his way of trying to be like, I'm better than he was. He was just some dude who fucking planted rocks. He was an idiot, is basically what he's trying to say.
Yeah, it's like what he has to tell himself to not feel guilt for all of the terrible deeds he's done, is just to dehumanize his victims and just be like, well, they were insignificant, they did not matter.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And then comes the most interesting part of the entire book. She can't kill him. And what's wonderful about it isn't even her being like, and then I tried, and then I was like, you know what, I'm better than you. No, she's like, no, I tried a lot. I kept fucking swinging as hard as I could. But she ended up having almost it was basically the opposite of what happened to Krem, is that her body is now telling her no. Whereas Krem was like, violence, the answer is yes to violence. Her body's saying the answer is no to violence. And I found that really fucking interesting because of the fact that her subconscious was like, we can't do this. After everything we've been through, we just can't do it. And like, I love the fact that the art shows her trying over and over again. She slices down, she slices above him, she slices to the side of him. It's fucking like, it's wild.
Yeah, her narration describes it as like, you know, every time I attempted, I could not do it. Every time I tried to take a swing, I could not complete it.
It was really, really fun. And I love this shot of Supergirl coming down all fucked up. This really like awesome battle damaged Supergirl holding
a dead naked guy wrapped in her cape.
Well, I think it's his own cape. I think it's the horse's cape.
Oh, yeah, it is. They both have, like, raggedy capes on. But, yeah, the horse did... Yeah, that's, like, his only clothes or his cape.
Yeah, I think she wrapped him in his own cape. And this is why I didn't think he was dead originally. I'm like, well, maybe he's just sleeping or something. I was in denial that Comet died. Until the ending happens. But, yeah, she's like, who the fuck is that? She's like, well, Comet, he was a man who was cursed to be a horse. You know, I don't have time for this. That's literally what she says. She's just like, it's complicated. It doesn't fucking matter. He's dead. It doesn't matter. He's dead. It doesn't fucking care anymore. Who the fuck cares? And I love Supergirl grabbing the sword out of her hands and be like, well, this is it, huh? You want me to go murder this guy now, right?
Yeah, and you know, eventually we learned that the real reason for Kara going on this journey with Ruthie to find Krem was to teach Ruthie that, you know, murder is wrong, that, you know, getting revenge on the person who killed your father by killing him is actually not the best approach. But then here at this point in the story, after losing Comet, it's like Supergirl is ready to kill Krem, and then it becomes Ruthie being like, oh, I actually like learned those values you wanted me to learn. And, you know, it's a good thing because now I can stop you from being the one who makes a mistake here.
Yeah, there's a wonderful moment with it shows. It's another great moment, in my opinion, of what the difference between Superman and Supergirl is. Because she's like, well, what about Crypto? All these things. She's like, none of that happened. I'm Supergirl. I know what that dude looked like. I didn't fucking need you to tell me what he looked like. I didn't need you to come with me. I didn't need to do any of this. Where Superman would have been like, he's fine. It's okay. I'll go get him. We'll bring him the justice type of thing is what Superman would have told her. He would have told her the truth immediately. And he would have been like, you're going to stay here. And I'm not going to force you to go out there type of thing. Where Supergirl is like, you know what? You're stubborn like I am. Or I know stubborn. And I know there's no way for me to just explain this to you that killing is bad. There's just not really a way of doing it. But by the end of the journey, like as you mentioned, she's gone through so much chasing this one fucking guy. He's killed basically billions at this point. And now she's lost Comet. And she's like you said, she's now like, you know what? Maybe I should kill this guy. I don't know. This dude's been just a gigantic pain in my ass this whole time. And her stopping her is so perfect. And I love Supergirl explaining why she feels like she failed teaching her the lesson, which is that she's never learned the lesson herself. Because she still dreams of Krypton and the things she could have done. And it bums it's too much for her. Which is what makes this great moment when she says I learned it, explaining all the things that Supergirl did for her and all the things everyone did for her, and Supergirl saying the line that she mentioned in issue 4 where it's too big. It's too big and we're too small. And it's heartbreaking because it's Supergirl admitting to somebody after being the big, great hero that even though she's the big, great hero, she still doesn't think she's enough. And it's a very vulnerable thing that Tom King's very good at.
Yeah, and I'm glad that we pointed out that line so much when we discussed the first half last week, because I knew it would come back up here in issue 8. I guess the ending of the whole miniseries is this kind of epilogue flash forward set in the future, where we see a much older Ruthie Kara. Crypto is still there. I guess he's much older too. And also Krim.
This was the thing that was confusing about this epilogue. That, you know, it's implied it's hundreds of years in the future, meaning Ruthie is a race that lives for very long. And one that she's around, and the other they threw him in the Phantom Zone. 2, the Phantom Zone now has people who keep an eye on people. 3, people now age in the Phantom Zone because Krem shows up old as shit. Like he looks like he has been through a lot, and I thought that was very strange, like a very strange thing that they decided to do.
Yeah, that is a bit odd for Phantom Zone. Maybe he stayed in like that part of the Phantom Zone where I guess there was like a passage of time that
yeah, because she's holding him like a chip, like he's like a trading card. She's holding this little Phantom Zone thing with his face on it, and he's young in the face thing. But when she throws it out for him to be summoned,
it's kind of like the
Pokemon,
the Donner Phantom Zone, like the spinning two-dimensional square that Terrence Stamp was trapped inside of. It's kind of like that.
It's like a wallet-sized Phantom Zone, which I think is fucking hysterical in my opinion. I think she can carry in a wallet. And she's wearing this new outfit, which I really liked her outfit a lot.
With pants, the Supergirl with pants.
Crypto has this really nice collar as well that I really liked. It's like this blue collar with the big old thing on it. And the S is a little more pronounced on the back of it. And I like her haircut. She has like a shorter haircut. And they what I love about this is she's like, they're talking about like, you know, thanks for letting me have done all this stuff, like not having killed them. I appreciate it. with all your kindness and stuff. She's like, you appreciate everything, so don't fucking patronize me. And this ending is amazing because they're like, well, he became a better person, and
Yeah.
I'm so happy about that. And she's like, I'm so sorry, Ruthie, like, because she realizes that's who he's talking to, and he's like, I just forgive me or whatever. And she just fucking uppercuts his ass. Like this old woman with a cane uppercuts him, and it's so fucking funny because he just goes down.
Doesn't kill him though. They're careful to show in the panel under that he's like holding his head with his hand in pain as he's laid out on the ground with his hand on his head. But
and yeah, and as you mentioned when we were talking about the first half, is that this also shows the sun, the red sun going, but the difference is it just doesn't go down; it goes up.
right, yeah, it's a sunrise instead of a sunset. And I guess Kara has her powers because like she came to this planet at night when when the red sun wasn't on her. But yeah, it's a nice bookend to the first issue and the first page.
We forgot to mention the last bit of writing, which is that she mentions when Kara gets there, she's like, "Well, thanks for writing that to him." So apparently, she made a book, released that book.
Mm-hmm.
But the version of events in her book ends with her saying, "And then Kara stabbed the guy to death, and we all rejoiced." The end. That's basically what she writes, and she's like, I still don't really know why she did that, other than to scare the brigands. I think was the implication, was she wanted the brigands to like be afraid.
Right, they couldn't know that he was. The brigands couldn't know that he was imprisoned in the Phantom Zone, or they would have kept coming to try to free him.
The code, like the honor code, was like you have to keep getting him unless they're dead, which explains why the brigand was stoned to death in issue 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that explains. I think it was 3 or 4. No, it was 4. I think it explains why they stoned him to death, because they're like, if we keep him alive, they come back. But if we kill him, we don't have to worry about him anymore. That seemed to be the code, apparently, which I found fascinating.
Yeah, and while we talked about Supergirl made the choice to not try to stop that society from executing that guy, whereas it was important to her to stop Ruthie from doing the same thing. And I think that another thing you're talking about, comparing the differences between Superman and Supergirl, is Superman would try to like, oh, I can save society. I can be the beacon of light to show them the right way. Whereas Kara is more like I'm just gonna help people and individuals, and she's like, I can't save this planet, but I can save this one girl.
Yeah,
that's kind of her approach.
She's her approach. Superman's approach is a bigger picture, but not the way. Sorry, that sounds bad because it's not really true either. Superman's not just a bigger picture guy. He's every picture. He does everything.
Mm-hmm.
Supergirl, on the other hand, feels like she can't be the bigger picture person, but she can do anything that's medium sized and under, essentially. She's like, so she's very much like, I can't save this entire world probably, because I'm only, as she mentions, we're too small, type of thing. She doesn't view the way Clark does, which is that like, with enough gumption you can do anything, type of thing. She's like, fuck that shit.
But also, Superman, as great as he is, wouldn't be able to connect to Ruthie on this more personal level. He doesn't know what it is to be a 14-year-old girl who just had your world shattered in front of you.
That's the thing. If this was a Superman story, it wouldn't work. This is a story. Tom King knows it when he writes this. He's like, because when you read Up in the Sky is a story that only works with Superman.
Sure, yeah.
Because in that story, that's a story about a man who will never give up for one person's life. Or Supergirl is a story about one person who's not giving up for one person by meeting them at their emotional level. Where Superman has to, he has to fight and go through a galaxy of shit to get to this one orphan girl. Whereas Supergirl's the opposite. She's not even an orphan because her mom's very much alive. But it's a girl who's lost everything, who needs somebody who understands. And Superman just isn't that guy. Like, and I don't mean that as like I don't mean that he wouldn't be able to help her. I mean that as in like if this was a Batman story, Batman would have been able to meet her at that level the way Supergirl does, because those two characters have tragedy steeped in their lore.
Sure, yeah.
Where Superman does too, but the difference is that Superman was a baby when all that happened. He lost his world, he lost his family, but he doesn't have the memories of them the same way Kara does.
Perfect example of that. If I'll be quick with this, but like just recently, this last week, my 91-year-old grandmother had like a long, happy life, but she passed away at 91. And like all 8 of her kids were there by her side. It's kind of if there is like a good way to come to the end of your life, I think she's like a good example of it. But just seeing like the reactions and some of the kids in my family, like my nieces and nephews, like I see how the 3-year-old and the 4-year-old react to that news compared to like the 10-year-old, and like like the bad shit hits you harder in a lot of ways when you're old enough to comprehend it than it does if you're a baby. So
yeah, especially if you're old enough to remember who you're there for, type of thing. Because when my grandmother died, we only had one grandkid that knew who they were, had actually met them at an age that would have remembered them as they were before everything had hit the fan, type of thing. Because they had dementia too, is the thing. So they knew them prior to all that. So when everything happened, that trauma's there because of it. But all the other grandkids were like 2 at best, type of thing. So like you said, dude, they're toddlers and babies. They don't understand why they're there. They don't even know that somebody died. They're just like, I wonder if Barney's on, type of thing. It's like their thought process. Like, I wonder if I can convince one of these people to let me fuck with their phone, is literally what they're thinking the entire time. And that's kind of what it is. It's like Ruthie needed somebody who knew what she was going through, because otherwise she wouldn't have learned the lessons correctly. Because if she had been roaming the universe with Superman, she would have felt like she was being lectured to. Because he probably would have been like, well, killing's bad. I killed once, and I felt real bad about it, and that's kind of it. Like, he doesn't have any like, they killed my things, or I lost my world, or all my family, or whatever. She's just like, no, I learned that killing's bad. I don't want to do it anymore. I killed 3 people one time. I killed Doomsday, and that bit me in the ass. But just don't do it. Like, that would have been it. And she would have been like, what? Like, it's like, when you're at school and the guy from Dare shows up.
Yeah, just don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs.
Just don't.
Watch this guy in a tiger or a lion outfit or whatever dance, and he'll be like, just don't do him.
Yeah, Daryl
like,
the lion.
And you're gonna be like, I don't want to listen to that guy. But if your friend who like had a real bad experience with a drug, like walked up to you and went like, look at me, I've seen some shit. Don't fucking do it.
It ruined my life. Yeah,
it ruined everything. Like I can't even explain how fucked up. Like, and then they might explain some fucked up shit, and you'd be like, okay, all right, I believe you, because you know them, you know their trauma, and so you believe that. Boy, where Superman is the dare guy, and Kara is the guy who walks up from behind the alley going, don't fucking do it.
Yeah, and so I think this is a good story to tell, because if you are going to tell a Supergirl story, I think like an obvious story to tell would be, okay, if Superman is so super, if he is like so great, then what is the necessity for a Supergirl? And so, yeah, like you were saying, this is a story that would only work with Supergirl, not with Superman. So tell those kinds of stories with her.
Yeah, exactly. And so I decided to look into where this fit into the overarching canon of Supergirl, because we were questioning that last time.
Right.
And there were 2 things I found that right away. One is I mentioned to you, which was the comics event that happened directly after this, which is Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths. It was originally just called Dark Crisis, but there's a point where the Justice League is essentially quote unquote killed, because the Black Adam's like, they all died. I saw it with my own eyes, type of thing. So John Kent's like, well, I need to make a new Justice League, because we need something. And so he goes around asking a bunch of people, and there's a panel of Supergirl and Crypto hanging out, like he's licking her face. She goes, well, I just got back from space, so I'll maybe. And the implication is that she just finished doing this storyline when it happened, and then it shows that I guess she accepts. But it's clear that whoever was writing this comic didn't know that the ending of this story is a flash forward into 100 years in the future, because Supergirl shows up in the outfit she has at the end of the story, and she's wearing it the entirety of the Dark Crisis on Infinite Earth storyline. And then she never wears it again after that. So that was one thing I found. And then there's yada, yada, yada at that point, because the normal continuity happens from there. Supergirl eventually has the leather jacket combo that Superboy has, essentially, because all the Super family decide that they're going to wear matching jackets, which I think is really fun. And she wears pants during that time frame. And so, but there's a new Supergirl series going on right now. For people who don't know, it's let me see who writes that real quick. It's written by Sophie Campbell, and she actually also draws some of it too, apparently, which is really cool. But she is currently writing Supergirl, and she finally decided to condense all Supergirl canon into one timeline finally, because of everything that's happened to Supergirl. So this is the series of events based on what she has. Because there's an issue that one of the issues finally has like Kara kind of having a similar like series of like fear flashbacks almost. So it's Argo City. So everything that happens here basically happened. She then flies to Earth. Superman then leaves her with the Danvers. I think the Danvers, I think is what it is. Which is the whole like her being the kind of the way the Supergirl show is. So the implication is that Superman's like, well, I can't like raise you essentially. Like it's not really a thing I can do. So he leaves her there with them. And then at some point, the Supergirl story happens, which is that you remember how we were trying to figure out what was canon or not? That she's captured by Darkseid instead of it being like the same thing as before. She's captured by Darkseid, is brainwashed, and that's the Supergirl story from the Jeff Loeb time frame.
Right.
And then it cuts to like some more flash forwards. It adds in the one thing from the New 52, which is that Zor-El is New 52 cyborg still. So Zor-El is still alive as a cyborg right now. Is what they're implying.
But there's also a Hank Henshaw cyborg Superman.
Yeah,
well.
So now both
like
of them exist in the current canon now.
It's like Superman is like, oh man, I got like a Hank Henshaw cyborg Superman, and I also have my uncle as a cyborg Superman to deal with,
which is crazy. And then it shows that Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow happens. It shows the shot of Krypto with the arrow in his chest, like, and she's like, comforting him, and then it cuts to like her holding Comet, the Man Comet, the way the ending was, or where she's holding him, like, and he's clearly like wrapped in the thing, and so apparently that's the and then eventually it's what I mentioned, which is the normal Supergirl timeline from then on. So that's currently the canon of the Supergirl timeline now. So so they have Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow is in fact part of its timeline. The only thing that we don't know if it's still part of the timeline is the epilogue part itself.
Right, because that wouldn't have happened yet. So
I also before we go, whenever we go, I guess I still highly recommend the Supergirl series by Sophie Campbell. It's Silver Age as fuck, and if you like Supergirl stuff, I think you'll have a good time with it. Because I think it's a lot better than the last Supergirl series they did. Because the last Supergirl series they did really wanted to be the CW show, like roll out.
Yeah, I mean that's basically it. Was like, okay, let's just do a comic version of what they're doing on TV.
So this is a much better one.
So the Campbell one is the one that started like last year, right? And
Yes, it
then
started just last year. I think they're only like 9 something issues in or something like that. Yeah, they're 9 issues in. But the first trade is already out for people who want to know.
okay, so yeah, it'd be a good time
Be a great time to jump on the Supergirl.
start
Just know
reading that
that
one.
Lino Luthor is part of the main cast.
And
It takes
Streaky the
place.
Super Cat is a big part of it too, right?
Yes, Streaky the Super Cat's a big part of it. Just for people who know about Lena, it takes place right after right after the Josh L. Williamson big Superman arc involving Lex Luthor. So she decides to move out of Metropolis, and this is directly after that. So for anybody who wants to know, if her people want to know more about her character in general, read our Worlds at War, as well as like this last chunk of Superman stuff. Those are the two major things if you want to know what type of character she is, because she still has the Brainiac thing on her head, like it's like embedded in her head now.
Yeah, I should check out the Sophie Campbell Supergirl, and there was also the I think there was like a Supergirl miniseries that also started this year.
Oh yeah, there's it's I forgot what it's called. It just started apparently like last week or something
Yeah,
like that.
Supergirl Girl Next Door. I guess like the first issue just came out. I don't know anything about that one, but
I think it's
that's
a
also
romance comic. I think.
or I guess it was just like a big one issue special thing because it's 84 pages I'm seeing. So
Yeah, I think it was a romance thing because I think that's the
okay,
reason it was made because the cover is like a guy like clearly like fawning
yeah,
over type of thing.
yeah, it has that like romance energy on the cover. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the movie. Hopefully, we get a trailer or TV spot this weekend. Supposedly, I'm seeing rumors that during the Super Bowl or maybe the Puppy Bowl, because you know it's a crypto movie, that we'll get something new to talk about. So we might be discussing some new footage from the movie next week.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what we end up seeing because apparently Marvel's skipping the Super Bowl this year apparently. So we're probably the only comic book stuff we're going to get this year is DC, which honestly I think is great because it means that DC is like they're in a very good place to set themselves up as the new game in town.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Marvel is going to win at the box office by a huge margin this year just because of the Spider-Man movie and the Avengers movie coming out. But even if those are terrible, they're going to make a shitload of money.
Yeah, exactly. They're not too worried about it because it's all Avengers, Secret Wars, and Spider-Man stuff. So they'll
But I
probably
don't.
be just fine.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see just like which movies I like more. Like, wouldn't it be a hell of a year if it's like, oh wow, there is a new MCU Spider-Man movie and a new MCU Avengers movie, but I actually had more fun with Supergirl, or dare I say even Clayface. That would be weird, but I could kind of see that happening.
I could. That's the thing is we're in the point where that might be possible. I know I've confused a lot of people with when I said this, which was that I liked Superman more than anything the Marvel did that year, all of last year, and I rewatched Superman like a billion times, and I think I've only rewatched Fantastic Four twice at most.
Yeah, I still haven't rewatched. I need to just hit play on Disney Plus at some point, uh, but
we're
yeah, I
we're eating great.
yeah, it's a good time to be a DC fan and a Superman fan.
Oh yeah, I forgot that I'm wearing one of my Superman shirts that somebody got this for me for Christmas.
Oh,
It's
nice.
like it's real nice.
I got the 4K Blu-ray of the movie for Christmas actually.
It's
So,
gorgeous, right?
yeah.
I
Uh,
I had watched it because I originally bought the Amazon like copy or whatever, and then I was like, well, maybe I don't. And then I finally just decided to get the physical. It's night and day, night and day. If you guys are like, streaming's fine, don't believe that lie. Buy the physical. The physical is one of the most gorgeous movies I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I don't buy as many Blu-rays as I used to, but things that I really love, I think it's worth it to pick them up. So,
100%.
but and I just want to point out that we're gonna try to talk about some other Supergirl stuff this year as we approach the movie. And Machiak Kerr in the, if I said that right, in the live audience, is commenting on the Earth Angel Supergirl that we talked about a little bit recently.
We
I think
mentioned her last time, yeah.
yeah, so
Um,
I don't know. Maybe we'll read
she
some of that.
she was the Supergirl that was around when the mandate was no more Kryptonians. And then when they were like, we're going to bring them all back, they're like, well, what do you do with her? Ah, she's an angel, I guess.
But yeah, we're definitely gonna revisit the Supergirl movie from 1984 at some point, and we've talked about going back and looking at the Supergirl TV show, or at least the first episode, or maybe some Supergirl appearances on Smallville or STAS or other places.
Yeah, and speaking of STAS, if for people who haven't seen, we're not like promoted by this or anything. I just think it's really cool. Is for people who don't know, Mondo's has been releasing like these very large figures for different superhero shows. There's some really cool Spider-Man the animated series ones. They made some Batman the animated series ones. They just announced a Superman the animated series figure. They're 1/6 size, so they're like, I think they're like 12-inch figures. They're very big, but they're very detailed. They're like $250 is the only downside, but they're just really cool because they're really well made. And if you order the early ones, because they're limited, the first 1,000 of them come with something specific that you don't get if you order after that. The Superman for that is going to come with a tiny Mixil Spitlick and a Lois Lane that he can like hold, like he can like carry with him. That's sort of the thing. So if you buy the first 1,000, like that's one of the things that comes with. Otherwise, it just won't have that. But he's still a cool looking figure.
Yeah, I know it looked like a good get for if you are into action figures and you want to DCAU Superman. Seems like a great opportunity.
Because the only other DCAU Superman figures that were made recently had a really tiny legs, so they were like impossible to stand because of that. Or Mondo's really good about like, we want these things to be able to stand on their own type of thing, which is what's really cool about them. Because there was a McFarlane version of it, which I wasn't that big of a fan of. And then there was the I don't remember what it's called, but there was like it was when they made all those Batman animated series ones. They made one Superman one that was a 2-pack with him and Lois. The only one they ever made. I didn't buy it. I regret not buying it at the time, but its legs were like tiny and it was not going to support his ass. Like you needed the stand that it came with for him to stand up, because otherwise he's too top heavy. That was the problem with him and the Batman figures.
Because Bruce Timm drew all of his dudes that have like these like massive, big, muscular chests that like, man, you gotta have like some support holding those guys up.
Yeah, they always skip leg day. That was the thing about him. Bruce Timm does not believe in leg day.
Yeah,
you heard it here first. Not true. Everybody says that. But yeah.
We'll have more Super Family talk, more Supergirl talk soon. My animals are going crazy. My dog and cat are ready for me to wrap up, so we can call it quits for now. But hopefully we get something cool at the Puppy Bowl or Super Bowl, and more to talk about soon.
Yeah, I'm very excited for what we find out about Supergirl as time goes on, especially because the movie is fast approaching at this point. We are now finally within the second month of the year.
Yeah, so it's only like 4 more months away, so that's
honestly
nuts.
It's shocking how long January felt.
Yeah. Hopefully we have a better February, but it'll be a good July when we're sitting down to watch Supergirl. So
Matrick, I did mention last time the rumors is My Adventures season 3 will either happen at the end of the year or sometime next year. That's the current rumor.
It's too long of a wait, unfortunately.
It's a very long wait. I'm shocked how long it takes for them to make that. But we know that My Adventures with Green Lantern is also supposed to come out at some point too. So it means they haven't given up on that universe yet.
Yeah. So that'll be fun for us to talk about a new season of My Adventures of Superman. So another thing to look forward to. But I guess that will
very, very excited.
I guess that will do it for today. We can go ahead and sign off, but until next time, as always, keep it super, y'all.